Hello and welcome to another PDGA Tournament Manager help video. In this video series, we'll be going over the finance section of Tournament Manager, which allows you to access and edit your event's player fees, added cash, player packs and prizes, as well as automatically calculate payouts and more. We'll be going over the added cash value page as well as the players pack and prizes page in this video, which is part 2 of a 3-part series on the finance section. If you haven't already, please check out part 1 in which we covered the summary page and the players fees page. There's a link to it in the description below. Now that we're logged into Tournament Manager, we're going to head straight to the finance page and get started. As you can see, we'll land on the summary page, which has a lot of information, and we're going to go ahead and go right to the added cash and value page, which is just one of the pages with some potential issues we need to look at, indicated by the error icons here. Now that we've made it to the added cash value page, you can see we have a couple different issues we need to attack. This is normal, by the way, as all of this stuff has to be set up before you can submit your event report. So don't be alarmed by what looks like a whole lot of errors on the page. Most, if not all of them, are really easy fixes, or they just simply haven't been filled in yet. So as you can see, the page is split into 2 sections, one for pro divisions, and towards the bottom, one for amateur divisions. Each section will have its own error indicators if there are errors. Right now, the only problems we have is with the pro division. So at the moment, we're looking at 3 different error messages, but a lot of times fixing one can help fix the others. So let's look at the first. Minimum added cash has not been allocated. The amount of required added cash depends on the tier of your event, and if you aren't sure what that minimum is, Tournament Manager has it all listed for you right here. The event we're using for this demo is a B tier, which has a minimum requirement of $500. So for the sake of simplicity, let's go ahead and punch that in and see what happens. As soon as we enter an amount, the system does the math for you and fills in the blanks for each of the pro divisions. These numbers can be adjusted manually, and if you want to do so, just make sure that when you're done making those adjustments, that you also adjust the pro added cash field accordingly so that it matches up. You might notice that error indicators are still displayed even though you have entered in what should be valid info, but worry not. You can continue working and move down to the amateur section if you have errors there, or if you simply want to ease your mind a bit, go ahead and click the Save Changes button at the bottom of the page. One thing that's important to mention here is the impact it will have if you do go ahead and enter custom values into these added cash fields. If you were to highlight and delete the custom values that we've entered in here, you'll see that the system will automatically fill it in with the suggested amount, and it's sort of grayed out. If you choose to do it that way and use those suggested automated values, you'll run into less issues as the automatic scaling will adjust those suggestions if new players enter or leave a particular division. For example, if somebody signed up late or you manually entered in a new player in the MPO division, that would then affect the net entry fee purse amount that would be shown here, which would then affect the suggested value and would therefore change the added cash field to the new suggested value. It does all that for you. But if you are going through and putting in particular numbers like we've done here, and you have a new player come in or you remove a player, you need to make sure you come back and double check that the added cash amounts are still where you want to be. That same concept applies to one of the sections on the payouts page, but we will mention that on the video that covers the payouts. Now that we have no more errors on the added cash value page, we can move on to the player packs and prizes page. But before we do, I just want to remind everyone that if you're not sure what some of these columns mean or what they're used for, click on the question mark icon, also called a tooltip icon, and it'll tell you exactly what each of these columns is defining. Some of the information on this page is actually pulled in from other pages. Specifically, we'll be looking at this column, the player pack deduction, when we go over to the player packs and prizes page in just a moment. Before we get started here, please note that the information entered on this page can vary wildly based on the logistics of the event and how the event staff prefers to operate. For the most part, this page helps track an event's overall value. The only fields that affect payouts directly are the value and/or deduction amounts of the player packs. Please make sure to use the tooltips for more information about each column on this page, and don't be afraid to email us for support if need be. Okay, so as we can see, there's only one error message to address. Minimum player pack values have not been set for all divisions. Notice that this is only an issue for the amateur divisions because providing player packs is not required for pro divisions. We're going to be nice and give the players in every division a player pack with a retail value of $10. As stated earlier, there are only 2 columns on this page that actually affect payout calculations, and that is the player pack retail value column, which we just typed the numbers in, and the player pack deduction column. You can see a little note about that if you click on the tooltip for the player pack deduction column, where it explains that by default the player pack retail value will be deducted from the net entry fee purse before calculating payouts. The columns to the right are there more for tracking purposes than anything else. They do help explain your event's overall value, so it is good to fill that information in. If you're not sure what each is looking for, guess what? Click on the tooltip icon so you can get a better idea. Let's go ahead and click the Save Changes button and see what happens. Just a quick reminder that if you're looking for more help with any tournament manager issues, you can click on the Help link in the top right of the page, and you'll be brought to the PDGA Tournament Manager Help documentation pages. It's broken into several different categories, many of which have screenshots and written step-by-step instructions to help you out. The last thing we're going to cover in this video is the Trophy Only page. Trophy Only isn't used by many tournaments, so let's give you a quick breakdown. Trophy Only is for registered competitors that wish to compete for a trophy only. This means they're not getting a player's pack, they're not getting any cash, they're not getting any merchandise or any sort of prize at all outside of a trophy if they do earn one. Trophy only should not be confused with true amateur. Those are 2 totally different things. If you want to find out more about true amateur, you can go over to pdga.com, go to events, tournament directors, and then there's the event planning and management section. And right at the top of the page, there's a true amateur event guidelines. Trophy only is a term that covers individual players wanting to compete as trophy only players, whereas true amateur is a term that applies to how payouts are handled for all of the amateur divisions at an event. Okay, so back to trophy only. This can be done by any competitor in any division, assuming that A, it's been approved by the tournament director, and B, it does not violate any of the PDGA Tour standards requirements. Trophy-only entry fees can be as low as 1/3 of the normal division entry fee, as it says on the page, and trophy-only players are automatically excluded from the payout calculations, so you won't even see their name listed. If your event does have someone sign up to play in trophy-only, the details need to be set up on this page. There's currently no way to set this up ahead of time using online registration, so this is something you'll need to do manually. Just as an example, let's assume we have 2 players in the MPO division that want to play as trophy only, and the tournament director has said they could. The tournament director has also elected to give them an entry fee of $40 instead of the normal $100. This does work because, as stated earlier, the entry fees can be as low as 1/3 of the normal division fee, so it could go down to $33. If you were to try to enter a number below that 1/3 threshold and hit save, it would give you an error message. We should be fine here with $40. The next thing we have to do is select the actual players, which are all listed at the bottom of the page by division. We'll go ahead and click on 2 of them, go back to the top, and hit the Save Changes button. Now you can see that it's showing 2 of 22, and we should be good to go. So now that we've covered the added cash value, player packs and prizes, and trophy only pages, let's go back to the summary page really quick. And we should see no more error indicator icons next to added cash or players pack in the checklist or in the menu at the top. We have some updated numbers here in the event value and the event fees because of the work that we've done. And all that's left to do is make sure that the payouts are calculated correctly and where you want them to be. That's something we're going to go over in part 3 of this series, which will be linked in the description below. As always, thank you for putting in the time and effort it takes to be a PDGA tournament director, and please feel free to email us for help anytime using the link at the top of any of the pages in the finance section where it says email us for support.